Okay, picture this. A nation where hunger is just a word in a book. A civilization so rich that gold is like sand and water flows like a gift from the heavens. And then, in a single night, it's all gone, wiped away. This is the incredible story of Saba, a journey from a literal paradise on earth to total ruin. It's a powerful cautionary tale, and we're going to dive right into how this paradise was lost.
It sounds like a trick question, right? But seriously, think about it. It wasn't some huge invading army. It wasn't a cataclysmic earthquake or a lightning bolt from the sky that brought down one of the world's greatest civilizations. Nope. It was something way, way smaller. And the answer to this riddle, well, it tells us a whole lot about power, pride, and what we choose to build our lives on.
So, to really get why this fall was so epic, you gotta see just how high they climbed. We're starting our story in the land of Saba, in what we now call Yemen. And this wasn't just any old kingdom. By pretty much every account, this was the most prosperous nation on the entire planet.
I mean, this place was a dream. The land was unbelievably fertile. The rains came exactly when they were supposed to, like clockwork. But the real key, the source of all their wealth and power, was the Great Marib Dam. This thing was an engineering marvel. It watered two gigantic gardens on either side of their city, and they produced so much fruit that people said travelers didn't even have to pick it. It would just fall right into their baskets. Just think about that. A world with no poverty, no hunger. It was basically a utopia.
And this incredible prosperity wasn't just seen as good luck. It was understood right from the beginning as a direct gift from God. The Quran itself sums up this relationship with a really simple instruction. Eat from this amazing provision and just be grateful. Their whole system was built on that idea. Not just amazing engineering, but a foundation of thankfulness. And that foundation of gratitude, it led them to their absolute peak. A golden age defined by one of history's most legendary female rulers, the Queen of Sheba herself, or as she's known in this tradition, Queen Bilqis. Now, Queen Bilqis was something else. She was incredibly wise, powerful, and deeply respected. Her fame spread so far that it reached the prophet Solomon, who summoned her to his court. At first, she thought it was just one monarch meeting another, a political thing. She sent all these lavish gifts. But Solomon, who was given power over the wind and animals, and even the jinn, he wasn't impressed. He showed her that his power didn't come from a throne, but from God. And in that moment, Bilqis got it. She saw power far greater than any earthly king, and she led her people into an era of true faith and gratitude. This was the absolute high point for Saba, both spiritually and materially. But time moves on. Generations come and go. And after the time of Bilqis, something started to change. A slow, creeping poison began to seep into the heart of the people. The poison of pride. The whole mindset just flipped. The story they told themselves completely changed. What used to be, our prosperity is a gift from God, turned into, our wealth is a product of our own genius. That amazing dam, once a blessing, was now just a monument to their own strength. Why? Well, because when you're born into comfort, you forget what hardship feels like. New generations saw this paradise not as a gift to be thankful for, but as something they were entitled to, something they built all by themselves. Humility just evaporated and was replaced by arrogance. Gratitude became this dangerous belief that they were invincible. So as this arrogance starts to swell, warnings began to appear. Prophets were sent to them, not to punish them, but to try and pull them back from the edge. The message they received was crystal clear. It was basically this: your faith should not be in that thing you built, that dam. It should be in the one who gave you the ability to build it. If you forget to be grateful, the very thing that gives you life, that water, is going to become your biggest curse. And their response? Oh, it was pure, unfiltered arrogance. They just laughed. They mocked the very idea. Our dam? It's as strong as the mountains. Nothing can destroy us. Any punishment you talk about, we'll just stop it with our money and our power. They were completely convinced that they were untouchable. And that, right there, was their fatal mistake. So the stage was set. The warnings had been completely ignored. The pride was off the charts. And what happened next was the devastating climax to their story. And this brings us right back to that first question. The weapon of their destruction, the thing that brought down their mountain-like dam, wasn't some epic force. It was mice. Just tiny little rodents burrowing away at the foundations.
A problem so small, so completely beneath the notice of the mighty, brilliant people of Saba that they probably didn't even think about it.
And then, one night, while the whole city was asleep, totally secure in their pride, it happened. It started with that unnoticed weakness from the mice, then a single crack echoing in the quiet, and then the breach. That great wall, their monument to their own genius, just gave way. And the water, the very lifeblood they thought they controlled, was unleashed as a furious, unstoppable curse.
The Quran gives this catastrophe a specific name, Sail el-Arim, the flood of the dam. And this wasn't just some river overflowing its banks. This was a torrent that literally erased their civilization from the map. It swept away the houses, the markets, the gardens, the people, everything. In a single night, all the wealth, the power, and the pride of Saba just washed away. When the sun came up the next morning, it rose over a completely different world. The paradise is gone, and in its place was a hard, terrifying lesson written into the land itself. The contrast is just staggering. Where there had been lush gardens with endless fruit, there was now a barren wasteland with nothing but thorny bushes and bitter fruit. The vibrant, wealthy city was now just buried ruins. The land that was a symbol of paradise on earth had become a permanent monument to a lesson that was learned far too late. So what was the final verdict? The Quran is incredibly specific. The reason for all this was one word: na shukri, ingratitude. See, their crime wasn't having wealth. The crime was forgetting where that wealth came from. It was that absolute belief that their success came only from themselves, from their own hands and their own brains. That was the real crack in their foundation, far more dangerous than anything a little mouse could ever dig.
And that leaves us with this final thought, a question that the story of Saba just forces us to ask ourselves, even today. What's really more destructive in the end? Is it the wealth and power that we manage to build for ourselves, or is it the arrogance that so often comes along with it?